There's a quiet reality about people who have no friends, one the world rarely notices. They can stand in a room full of laughter and still feel like a ghost drifting through it. They can move through their days with a calm that looks intentional, even though it's really the armor they have worn for years. They can go weeks without a single invitation and tell everyone it doesn't bother them, even though something inside them grows quieter each time it happens. They don't avoid people because they dislike connection. They avoid connection because they have never known what it feels like to be safe inside it. They don't choose solitude because they are strong. They chose it because being hurt once felt unbearable. And the loneliness they carry isn't loud. It's the kind that sits gently behind their eyes, waiting for someone kind enough to see it. There is a particular kind of loneliness that doesn't begin with isolation, but with familiarity. It belongs to people who move through life quietly, doing everything expected of them, yet never feeling as if they belong anywhere. They wake up, work, engage in small talk, respond politely, and carry themselves with a calmness that convinces everyone they are fine. But beneath that calm lies a heaviness they cannot name, a sense of being present but not connected, visible yet not truly seen. For many, the absence of friends is not a dramatic event. It is gradual. It reveals itself in small, unnoticed ways, realizing they have no one to text when something good happens, no one to call when everything unravels. They scroll through their contacts and feel a muted ache, not for dozens of people, but for just one person who understands their silence. They watch others share inside jokes and feel a quiet envy they never admit. They sit in meetings or gatherings, feeling like they are slightly out of phase with the room, like they are present but not a part of anything. And the deepest pain does not come from the lack of people. It comes from the belief forming inside them that maybe they are meant to exist on the outside of connection, not by choice, but by fate. People rarely end up friendless because they want to be alone. More often, it begins with a series of moments that teach them that connection is unsafe. Some grew up in homes where vulnerability led to criticism, where emotions were dismissed, or where expressing needs was seen as weakness. Others learned early that closeness could be used against them. They remember secrets turned into jokes, trust turned into tools, loyalty turned into one-sided arrangements. They remember people disappearing when life became difficult. These experiences form an internal rule that survives into adulthood. Vulnerability equals danger. So they retreat, not out of disinterest, but out of self-preservation. Their mind begins to associate connection with pain. Their body stays alert around new interactions, bracing for rejection that may not even exist. Some offered deep loyalty in the past, only to find themselves treated as optional or invisible. Some were always the listener, but never the one listened to. Some were surrounded by people who took what they needed and vanished when asked for even the smallest kindness. And eventually the message becomes clear. You are valuable only when you are useful. What appears as not wanting friends is often the residue of too many ruptures, too many disappointments, too many moments where being open led to being hurt. Their solitude today is not a preference. It is protection. In adulthood, this quiet wound begins shaping their entire inner world in ways even they struggle to explain. They move through life with a kind of emotional caution that other people often misinterpret as indifference or coldness. But the truth is softer, quieter, and far more painful. They have been disappointed too many times to risk being open again. So they live behind subtle protective habits, sending short replies to avoid sounding too eager, withdrawing before anyone notices their absence, pretending to be busy when what they truly feel is uncertainty, and keeping conversations surface level so no one has a chance to step close enough to hurt them. Even responding to a simple message can feel heavy, because it means pushing against the instinct that has kept them safe for years. Some talk to themselves because it is easier than talking to others. Some convince themselves that solitude is freedom, No drama, no obligations, no expectations to navigate. And in a way, that peace is real. But peace built from avoidance slowly becomes a room without windows, a kind of stillness that begins to suffocate. They scroll past photos of people laughing together and feel a dull ache they quickly swallow. They overhear coworkers making weekend plans and pretend not to feel the tightening in their chest. They travel alone because it is less complicated, yet a small part of them wishes there was someone beside them to say, "Did you see that?" Someone who would understand the way their eyes soften at beauty, or why their voice goes quiet when something touches them deeply. They crave connection, but dread the cost of it. They want closeness, but feel unworthy of it. They fear rejection so deeply that they reject themselves first, avoiding the very things they long for. And after enough disappointments, they start to believe a quiet lie. Maybe it is better if I stay alone. They begin to mistrust signs of affection. If someone is kind, they question the intention. If someone is consistent, they feel uneasy. If someone comes too close, they pull away before they can be hurt. Because closeness has always been where pain began, and because no one sees the war happening inside them, the world misreads their distance as emotional coldness. But what the world does not see is the softness they carry, the loyalty they offer quietly, the empathy they have sharpened through years of watching from the outside. They would make extraordinary friends, gentle, intuitive, steady, if they ever believed someone would stay long enough to see that side of them. What the world does not hear is the whisper they keep hidden from everyone, even from themselves. I don't want to be alone. I just don't want to be hurt again. Here lies the paradox that no one talks about. People who have no friends are not empty. They are overflowing. They feel too deeply, notice too much, remember everything. They walk into a room and sense every shift in tone, every unspoken tension, every subtle change in someone's expression. To others, this looks like detachment, but it is sensitivity sharpened by years of surviving without a safe place to land. They are not cold, they are careful. They are not antisocial, they are exhausted. They are not indifferent. They simply learn to protect themselves from a world that often mishandled their softness. The very traits that keep them alone are the same traits that would make them remarkable friends. Their loyalty comes from knowing what abandonment feels like. Their empathy comes from remembering what it felt like to have no one. Their depth comes from carrying a heart that has been shaped in silence. But people misunderstand depth when it is wrapped in fear. They assume distance means disinterest. They assume quiet means emptiness. They assume solitude means preference. What they do not see is the truth beneath it all. These people avoid connection not because they don't care, but because they care too deeply. They fear disappointing others. They fear being misunderstood, misused, or mistaken for someone they are not. And beneath all those fears lies the quietest wound. They are terrified of being known, because being known is where the hurt began. They stay alone because connection once cost them more than they could bear. And yet, despite every wall they've built, there remains a longing for someone gentle enough not to mistake their silence for indifference, someone patient enough to understand their caution, someone who does not run from the depth they carry. Healing for people who have no friends does not begin with throwing themselves into crowds or forcing social courage they do not feel ready for. It begins with a quieter shift, an inner permission to believe that connection does not have to resemble the pain that shaped them. For years, their nervous system learned a single truth: closeness leads to hurt. To rewrite that truth, the change must be gentle. Sometimes healing looks like responding to one message instead of ignoring it. Sometimes it means letting a conversation continue for a few seconds longer than fear prefers. Sometimes it's choosing a small honesty, "I had a hard day," instead of hiding behind "I'm okay." It might be choosing not to disappear when someone shows consistent care. These subtle choices are not dramatic, but they are courageous, because they challenge the old belief that being seen is unsafe. Solitude protected them when no one else could, and honoring that is part of healing too. But walls can soften into boundaries. Distance can become space. Silence can become rest rather than fear. And connection, when it is gentle, can become a place to breathe instead of a place to brace. Healing also means learning to accept small kindnesses without shrinking away. Letting someone hold a door, accepting a compliment without suspicion, allowing a soft gesture of care to land in the heart without immediately questioning it. These moments teach the body a new truth. Not everyone leaves. Not everyone uses softness. Not everyone turns vulnerability into a weapon. Slowly, the belief that I am safer alone begins to loosen, replaced by something truer. I might be safe with someone. So if you are someone who has walked through life without friends, someone who carries your own weight quietly, someone who has learned not to expect anything because expectations once led to pain, then hear this gently. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not lacking. You learned solitude because solitude was safer, and you survived. But survival is not the end of your story. You are allowed to outgrow the loneliness that once protected you. You are allowed to imagine a connection that doesn't require shrinking, performing, or being useful to deserve care. One day, quietly, unexpectedly, you may meet someone who doesn't flinch at your silence or misread your caution. Someone who sees your hesitation as history, not rejection. Someone who understands that your distance is not disinterest, but a scar from an older wound. And when that moment comes, a part of you that has waited for years will finally exhale, not because you found someone, but because you realized something deeper. You were never unworthy of connection. You were simply protecting a heart that feels the world more intensely than most. In the stillness of that understanding, you may see yourself clearly for the first time, and you will realize that solitude shaped you, but it does not have to define you. There is still room for warmth, still room for gentleness, still room for someone to meet you where you are, and maybe, just maybe, this time, you won't walk alone.